Hello everybody, I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show, where I have some audio that's bleeding through that I'm going to deal with. There we go. I hope everybody had a good weekend. It's February. That was some footage from the National Archives, some tranquil footage of Washington, D.C., a city that I love. And then some New York City footage snuck in, another city that I dearly love, and this country that I dearly love. And so I'm struggling right now. Anyways, we're going to watch some 16mm films, and it is technically winter, and we are technically animals, so here are animals in winter. Enjoy.
There are several ways by which they manage to do it, and to learn about them, you have to start in the fall. That's when this badger spends much of the winter in the burrow he's digging now. He's alert, like animals have to be out in the wilds, on a constant lookout for danger. By autumn, the badger has fattened up considerably. Plenty of fat and a good thick coat of fur help keep an animal warm through the winter. Now, he's turning and facing outward, and this may mean that danger's near. He sniffs the air and holds his ground. This time, it's only a wandering hound. Now the badger had just one answer, and this is it. Near the edge of the forest, you'll find woodchucks. Perhaps you call this fellow a groundhog. What's he doing about winter's coming on? The woodchuck is working on his winter home. When it's finished, he will probably sleep there till spring comes. Such a long, deep sleep is called hibernation. And for a sleep like that, an animal needs a home that's really safe and snug. His job is first to dig a tunnel that's deep enough, and then to make a den that's big enough to sleep in. We'll look in on the woodchuck later. While he digs away, there's another animal nearby, getting ready for winter. He's made his nest in this old hollow stump. This little fellow is a chipmunk. He needs fat to carry him through the winter season ahead. And fattening up is easy with so much food all around. Chipmunks, like woodchucks, hibernate through cold winter months. Often they store up food in the nest. Apparently, our chipmunk won't go hungry. On a twig not far away, a much smaller animal is building its winter home. It's a caterpillar spinning its cocoon. You realize, of course, that a caterpillar is an animal. As his head goes back and forth, he's spinning a tiny thread of silk. The silk comes out of an opening in the caterpillar's lower lip. As soon as this work is done, and the caterpillar is inside its cocoon, something begins to happen to it. Later on, we'll have a look inside to see just what has happened. The woodchuck's winter home is ready. We have dug alongside his burrow and find him already sleeping. Soon, he'll start hibernating. Almost anywhere in the northern woods, you'll find snowshoe rabbits. Like all rabbits, the snowshoe depends on nose, eyes, ears, and legs for his safety. But the snowshoe has a special winter safeguard. By the time snow has blanketed the countryside, his fur has begun to change to a lighter color. And later, it will be nearly white, forming an excellent camouflage. The porcupine doesn't change color. but his fur is studded with long, sharp quills. There's no reason for these two animals to fear one another. In fact, many wild dwellers of field and forest get along peacefully together. But they have dangerous enemies. This jay seems excited. It's a bobcat, a killer. The snowshoe sits frozen, one way of protecting himself. Perhaps the bobcat won't see him. White fur against white snow is good camouflage. But the bobcat is hungry and will work tirelessly to find a meal. Now the rabbit uses his legs for defense. Another cunning hunter, a fox. Foxes have sharp eyes and ears and a keen sense of smell. And rabbits are a favorite food of both these forest hunters. This time, the snowshoe leaps out of sight and quickly away from the fox's keen nose. Thus far, the fox hasn't caught the scent of the snowshoe, and soon he is safe for the present. But in the winter wilds, the snowshoe is seldom really safe, and he would be in even greater danger without his white coat. Some birds fly south when winter comes, but not the hardy blue jay. His thick coat of feathers helps to keep him warm. The caterpillar's cocoon, too, helps keep out the cold. If cut away in winter, it shows that the caterpillar of last fall has changed to a pupa. That's what regularly happens after a caterpillar has spun a cocoon. Furthermore, the pupa will change before winter is over. Remember the badger? During winter, he sometimes comes out of his den, usually to hunt for food. He appears to be quiet and peaceful, but the badger is one of the most vicious fighters in the wilds. His coat of fur is even thicker now than it was last fall. Such heavy fur keeps its owner quite warm, but it doesn't keep him from getting hungry. He has to hunt for food. And how's our woodchuck passing the winter? Hibernating. If you touched him, he'd feel cold. His temperature may be almost 50 degrees lower than when he's active. And the chipmunk in the old stump is hibernating too. He's breathing very slowly, and his temperature too is lower than normal. Early spring, returning warmth. The chipmunk begins to stir, shivering and trembling. Gradually, he comes back to active life. Within a short time, he is wide awake, very hungry, and starting all over again. And there's action at the cocoon, the winter home spun by the caterpillar. Our winter examination showed that the active caterpillar had changed to a quiet pupa. Now the pupa has made the final change, this time into a moth. And out into the warm air of spring come the delicate body, wings, and legs of that moth. Neither the moth nor the caterpillar that spun the cocoon could have endured the cold winter, but life was carried on in the pupa. To live through the winter, this animal not only built a protective home, but changed to a more hardy form. This moth is a cecropia, and soon it will be ready to fly. Now, what have we learned about animals in winter? For one thing, that the moth lives through winter as a pupa. That the woodchuck spends the winter in a deep sleep called hibernation. That the chipmunk and some other animals also hibernate. that still other animals that build dens come out of them when they're hungry, that these animals grow thick coats of fur which protect them from the winter cold, that most animals have extra layers of fat during the winter, that some birds, and that a few animals like the snowshoe rabbit change color. All interesting ways by which, therefore, and in spite of cold,
What happened? So that film, did you hear that my guess, and it's been a while since I looked at that film, but I have a feeling that was maybe run through a silent film projector. And so what that meant is that you had sprockets on both sides, whereas with sound, you're only supposed to have it on one side. And so what that meant is that the soundtrack got perforated, which created that, like it sounded like there were perfs on that side. So that's what I think happened. Okay, what do we got? I've been working with getting some more Prelinger films online that haven't been online, and this one popped up. And I have another film called The Shoplifter, which is very similar to this, and this is a film about shoplifting that's meant to be shown to retailers and security people, but it also probably inadvertently shows how to shoplift, like The Shoplifter did, that film did. So enjoy.
The man entering the jail cell is a professional thief, typical of thousands of his kind. He has devoted years of what might have been a productive and useful life to the development of his skill as a shoplifter. He's made the grade. To his associates in crime and to the police, he's known as a good booster. This man, a detective on a city police department, is part of a shoplifting detail. His job is a constant battle against the boosters who have made shoplifting a multi-million-dollar business. As a law enforcement officer, he recognizes the professional thief as a formidable foe of legitimate commerce. By conservative estimate, the nation's retailers lose in excess of $250 million annually to shoplifters. For the thief in his jail cell, business is temporarily at a standstill. He's been here before and will almost certainly return to this or a jail like many others of his kind. He has consistently evaded a lengthy jail sentence. After short terms of imprisonment, he's back on the street again, up to his old tricks. The loot on the table was gathered by this professional shoplifter during a few hours' tour of business houses in an average city. On this trip, he chose appliances. It might have been something different tomorrow. Some of his victims will be unaware of their losses until notified by police. Here's where the booster plies his trade, employing a wide variety of techniques to avoid detection. While he may select a store for items which are easily fenced or sold for a quick profit, he'll strike wherever an opportunity presents itself. Sometimes his method is quite simple, almost obvious. The female of the species has the protective coloring of a typical woman shopper. Without a purse when she entered the store, she selects a purse and removes the tag while the clerk is occupied with a paying customer. A few personal articles from her own pockets give the purse a new owner. By pretending interest in a back shelf item, the thief may turn the clerk just long enough to accomplish her purpose. In most stores, shoppers are encouraged to look over the merchandise. But when the booster is left to browse unattended, there'll be empty hangers in the clothes racks. Teenaged amateurs are a special problem. Usually in groups, they move quickly on displays of small, attractive items. The professional booster works efficiently and with considerable poise from the moment she enters the store. Ladies at a bargain table have no time to watch for shoplifting. To store personnel and customers, she's just part of the crowd. But the bird's eye view tells another story. An attractive customer is courteously assisted in her careful selection of 3 dresses. The dress of her choice goes under her own. Now she'll make sure the clerk is busy before she returns 2 dresses to the rack. Thieves are always eager to capitalize on the negligence of others. A purse put aside for just a moment may be an added bonus for the alert booster. Here's an invitation to any thief. And as the purse goes, so goes the sale. When it's worn by a professional shoplifter, a full skirt may cover a lot more than you think. Bloomers under the skirt hold a lot of merchandise. Now a clever booster uses a gimmick which completely shields the theft from all but the sharpest eyes. Watch closely. Here's how it was done. Another favorite of the trade is the trick box, a carefully prepared parcel with a spring flap for easy loading. It looks like just another package when carried by the booster. He chooses technical volumes and books which will have a good resale value. On another day, he may use the box to steal something else. Designed to attract the legitimate customer, the counter display also attracts the booster. Baby clothes would seem to be the intended purchase of this casual shopper. But again, appearances are deceiving. Maybe there's a little old lady who chatters constantly to the merchandise and has never been known to make a purchase. She's a nuisance, and she knows it. The point is, you may not know a booster when you see one. A proven aid to many a thief is a topcoat worn nonchalantly over one's shoulder. Among those who consider shoplifting the most lucrative of all crimes, the most consistent moneymaker, is the drug addict, whose habit may cost him more than $100 a day. He will rely upon his talent as a booster to keep himself supplied with drugs. While looking over a tray of expensive rings, the thief has a cheap ring hidden in one hand. As he turns the clerk, he takes a costly ring from the tray and replaces it with the cheap one of similar appearance. Later, he will bargain with an unsuspecting buyer for a handsome profit on the stolen ring. The eventual target of this booster is one of much greater value than a handkerchief. But this small purchase is made in order to obtain a sales slip, an essential part of his operation, for which he's already paid. This is fact, not fiction. It's happened many times. The thief had no trouble in getting out of the store with a television set. Now he'll peddle it for the best price he can get. If he didn't have a buyer in mind when he made his boost, he'll have no trouble finding one. It's just a matter of knowing the right people. For a share in the profit, his connection will provide a customer who will ask no questions. At just the right moment. Somewhere in the thousands who cross the store's threshold, there's a professional thief. Perhaps she is separated from her accomplice, trying something on her own. Realizing that she's been seen, she heads for the door, with an alert floor walker in pursuit. But the thief has planned for just such an emergency and pauses at a counter where her accomplice is waiting. And the floor walker still pursues her. Shoplifting teams work with precision. While a charming booster looks over a few sweaters, an accomplice waits for her signal. The clerk's attention is diverted, the signal is passed, and the accomplice moves into action. Another team may use a man to engage a clerk, then lead him away from the scene so that his partner may move in. The well-dressed villain removes several suits from the rack, then boldly creates the impression that he's a sales representative leaving with sample clothing he couldn't sell. And here come the creeps. 3 men enter the store and take different routes to attract clerks in the intended area of operation. The 4th partner in crime lags behind to make sure that his confederates are doing their job. Now he can go about his work knowing that he won't be bothered with salespeople. Later, the team will meet to share the loot. By operations such as this, a good booster may easily net in excess of $200 per day. For many who are jailed for criminal offenses, release from custody means the beginning of a new way of life. In the case of the professional thief, however, the brief jail terms which interrupt his career seldom cause him to seek legitimate employment. In most cases, he will be unimpressed by the real purpose of his jail sentence. Officially, he has paid his debt to society. He'll be back in one city or another, looking for a chance to make a score, to steal wherever he has the opportunity. Boosting is his business.
And of course, Golden State Films made Sudden Birth. So this is one. So that's what's clear is, what's really interesting about this is the fact that they're competent filmmakers. They made these good films, but for some reason, Sudden Birth just seemed off. And part of it was that they had poorly mic'd sync sound, and the actors were not actors. They were not good at all. All right, so there's a chain reaction going on. I'm sorry, old radios. This might apply to you. Enjoy.
Well, what's this, the reception committee? Hello, Joey. Honey,
Here.
how are you?
Fine.
Well, I bet that newsboy stays up nights thinking up new places to toss that paper.
Ed,
Telling
it's
you I've got a
come.
half a mind to...
It came this morning. I was going to phone you at the plant, but then I thought it'd be fun to surprise you.
A moment ago, it was just another Friday afternoon. Where are my old records?
Right where you put them last week.
Oh, boy, they don't make records like these anymore.
You know, dinner will be ready in a few minutes.
This was the heyday of the big-name band.
Well, I guess I'd better turn the heat down.
Hurry up, Pop.
Ah, congratulations. You have just become the owner of a Bannister Deluxe Model 7614B, the supreme achievement in high fidelity.
Let's hear the high five, Pop.
Uh-huh. Place the records on the spindle. Well, I've done that. 78 RPM. Turn on-off switch to on. Allow 5 seconds for warm-up. Volume control. Bass equalizer. There. Now, Joey boy, you're really going to hear something.
What happened?
I don't quite know. Bless Columbo, I'll never get another one of those. Glenn Miller.
Oh, that's a shame, dear.
What'd you do wrong this time, Pop?
What do you mean, what did I do wrong? And what do you mean by this time?
The man left his card. They're probably closed.
McAllister Radio Shop.
Get me the manager.
Speaking. Bob McAllister at your service.
Listen, you delivered me a Bannister Deluxe today.
Oh, yes, Mr. Walker, over on Lawndale Street. Mighty fine outfit.
Is that so? Well, your mighty good outfit just pulverized my best records.
Uh-oh. Pete.
Yeah?
Another one of those Bannister jobs playing games with the customer's records. Well, I'm terribly sorry. It did, huh? Yeah. Well, I don't think it's anything serious, Mr. Walker. I'll send my serviceman out first thing in the morning. Uh-huh. I see. Well, we were about to close. Yes. Yes, sir. Right away. The guy's pretty unhappy.
That makes 2 of us.
3. When is that factory gonna get on the ball?
When am I gonna get a Friday night home? Yeah. The detent ring wasn't properly seated, that's all. Should have been caught at the factory.
Well, it better be okay now.
Should be.
More coffee?
Later, honey.
Okay, I'll put another pot on anyhow.
Why'd they put a thing like that on there in the first place? Well?
To save wear and tear on your records.
To save?
Yes, you see, if you play records stacked on top of other records, they're apt to get scratched up. With a banister changer, you play them singly. Sounds better, too.
I wouldn't know.
Shouldn't give you any more trouble, Mr. Walker.
You know, I work in a typewriter factory, and for the life of me, I can't understand how something like that got by.
Look, I don't make them. I just fix them.
Gee, Dad, can you make it do that again?
Helen!
I'm gonna drive over and tell those guys exactly what they can do with their banister changer.
Did it act up again?
Did it act up again? That set must have been made in a lemon grove.
But the shop is closed now.
Yeah? Well, I'll find out where they live.
Can it wait till morning?
Listen, they ruined my evening. Now I'm gonna ruin theirs.
Give it to him, Dad!
Ed, now you're getting all worked up and over what?
Over what? Over a lot of hard-earned dough, that's what.
Should have hurt it, Bob.
All those guys care about is a sale.
It was like the third stage didn't fire.
Joey, don't you have some homework to do?
Gee, but it's Friday night. Oh.
Ed, now let's be sensible about this. There's nothing you can do tonight.
A lousy, rotten deal.
Of course it is, Ed. Now just sit down and calm yourself, and I'll get you that cup of coffee.
Well, maybe you're right. But I'm gonna phone that shop when they open up tomorrow morning, and if I don't get some action, I'll really blow the roof off.
I thought you went to your room.
But my toy is broke.
Well, this is no time to bother Daddy.
What's the matter with
It's broke.
it? Yeah? How's it broke?
Just broke, that's all.
Can't they make toys that'll work either?
Can't you fix it?
I'll buy you another one. Maybe tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna write a letter to the factory.
On the way to Japan?
Japan. No, I mean the Hi-Fi factory. I'm gonna tell them what a lousy product they put out.
Now, don't talk. Right.
I'm gonna tell them how I'm gonna pass the word on to everyone I see. I'm gonna tell them that they're gonna lose a lot of business. And if that serviceman doesn't get out here tomorrow morning and do the job right, I am going to add a great big P.S.
Ed, don't tell me, tell them.
And I finished off by telling them that I hope they lose so much business they'll either have to improve their product or they'll be in serious trouble. After all, the only real job security a guy's got is the orders on the book for the thing he makes.
Can't say as I blame you for getting upset, Mr.
Too late
Walker.
today, but Monday I'm going down and I'm going to mail this registered special delivery to the president personally.
But we'll have your set working just as good as new.
It is new, 1 day old.
What I mean is, it'll be in perfect shape.
Just a small part. The threads were stripped.
Last night you claimed it would work and it didn't. This morning you came out and nothing happened.
Well, like I told you, we don't happen to have that particular part in stock.
But we'll get one Monday, and we'll have it fixed just as good as... we'll have it fixed Monday.
So what's going to go wrong with it next?
Now, Mr. Walker, maybe one set in 100 has a few bugs in it.
So swell, I got that one. That makes me feel much better.
Look, I'll be the first to admit that we have had a little trouble with banisters, but only recently. We do have a lot of satisfied banister owners.
Yeah? Well, you got one unsatisfied owner standing right here. Maybe I'm just one little guy, but you multiply me by all the other little guys and multiply all of us by all the guys we talk to, and brother, you got some pretty unhappy guys.
But that's just what we don't want, you see.
Why can't they put out something dependable?
If I knew the answer to that one, I'd be writing a letter to the factory myself.
How's it going, Ed?
Don't ask me.
One of those days, huh?
Yeah, one of those weekends.
Oh, we all have them. Clippers in the back?
Yeah.
Ouch! Sorry. Oh, it seems they just don't make things the way they used to.
Boy, are you telling me?
What'd I say? The magic word?
Last night I got a hi-fi set. Bannister Deluxe, model 7614B.
Hi, Charlie.
Man, I was looking forward to that thing. Hi-fi, huh? Hi-fiasco. Let me tell you, there isn't nothing that hasn't gone wrong with that set so far. And I'd advise anybody else to stay clear of a Bannister, too.
You see these clippers, Ed?
Yeah.
They'll outwear 3 of the others.
Oh? How come?
It's a funny thing. They both cost about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Makes a guy think. Now, here's 2 companies.
Well, personally, I think that...
One company puts out good clippers. People want them. Sales are up. Means steady work for the guys in the factory, right?
Right.
The other company didn't do it. Sales fell. That meant cutting their schedule. Less work, right?
Right, but Joe, don't you...
A lot of guys found themselves laid off. Thought they was working for a growing company. Come to find out it was shrinking.
You mean instead of getting bigger, it just...
Finally
began...
went clear out of business. Closed their doors.
Boy, pretty hard to believe that a big company can go broke.
It happened. I could list you off a lot of brand names that were big once. Small potatoes now. A lot of them gone clean out of business. Might have been other reasons, too. But one of the biggest was poor quality. And you can't tell me different. How long do you suppose I'd stay in business if my customers weren't satisfied?
Why is it a barber never combs your hair the way you want it?
I'll get it. Oh, hi, Jack.
Hi, Helen.
Jack?
Hey, what's this about you not coming to the poker game?
I'm babysitting tonight.
Blame me. My folks are coming over for a barbecue tomorrow night, and I want to do a little Saturday night shopping. Are you sure you don't want me to mail that letter?
Absolutely. I'm mailing that noon, Monday. Registered mail.
Okay. See you later. Bye-bye, Jack.
So long,
Hey,
Helen.
don't forget the steaks.
Well, I guess I'll mosey along, too.
How about a cold drink?
You sold me.
Whoops, hold it.
Sorry, didn't know I needed permission.
Oh, it's not that. Just shut it off, will you?
I knew you were waiting for a new record player, but I didn't know you were buying a banister. I've seen the ads. Been thinking of getting one myself.
Before you do, let me give you the phone number of a good head shrinker.
What's the matter? It's a sharp-looking set.
I suggest you sacrifice looks for something a little more dependable.
What'd it do? Electrocute the dog?
One guy puts in one lousy part, that's all. And the whole thing goes berserk.
No kidding.
99 guys do the job right, and one guy fouls it all up.
Not always just one guy. Lots of things figure in. Engineering, bad parts from the suppliers, all kinds of production pressures. Oh, lots of things figure in.
No. Those things are just excuses more than anything else, Jack.
Not always. Of course, it's easy to fix the blame somewhere else when your own work isn't quite up to snuff. But those can be very real problems, make no mistake.
But every factory must have about the same problems. No, there's something else, Jack. Despite all those pressures, there has got to be some key thing.
Now, don't look at me for the answer.
Just what is that key?
I don't know. Unless, maybe it's the way a guy feels.
You mean about his work?
Sure, it seems to me it doesn't matter whether a guy wears a white collar or a blue one. The way a guy feels is...
Shows up in his work, huh?
Well, it might sound corny, but it's true.
Yeah, but how do you get guys to see something like that?
Now, there is a real question. Say when.
Oh, fill her up.
Regular or premium?
Regular.
Getting her ready for a Sunday drive?
No, but I've got to pick up my wife's folks later on this afternoon. Having them over for a barbecue.
Barbecue. Ever tried our charcoal starter there?
No.
Right up to the full mark. That fan belt seems a little loose. There, that ought to do it.
Dan, why do you always do a good job?
How's that?
Why do you always do a good job in my car?
Why do you keep coming back? Oh, the thing is, I hate to have folks count on something and then, well, what I mean is I don't want it on my conscience they lost out. Maybe what I really mean is I expect something from my dough, so I get a kick out of doing things right. It'll be $3.97.
Get a kick out of it, huh?
Another 4 bits if you want the charcoal starter.
Oh, we better do something about this fire. They'll have everything else ready and the steaks won't even be on. Darn charcoal must be made of decomposed granite.
Maybe the starter you're using is no good.
Oh, nothing wrong with the starter. The guy I bought it from sells the best.
Well, sure to catch now.
We may not have music, but we'll have steak.
Hey, Dad, I got something that'll help.
Something's Joseph,
yeah.
I know. Do you want to set the whole neighborhood on fire? You can start charcoal with paper. Isn't that... my letter? Joey, you burned my letter.
Gee, Dad, I didn't know. All I did was gather up all the old papers on your desk.
I worked all weekend on this.
I was just trying to help Gramps.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe you could just copy it over again.
Yeah, copy it over.
I'm sorry, Dad.
Forget it, Joey. Guess I can do it over tonight.
I better go see if I can help Mom in the kitchen, huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, the little guy was just trying to help.
An awful lot of thought went into this letter.
Yeah, that hi-fi thing sure must have stoked you up.
I tore up what I'd written and started all over a couple of times. I was just plain mad at first, but then I kind of settled down and just asked a lot of questions. Questions like, don't you care if people get a raw deal? Don't you want to give a guy his money's worth?
Don't you care how many future customers you lose?
Yeah.
Don't you ever want to sell me another set?
Something like that.
Well, I guess that letter at one time or another has been written by a lot of people, including me.
But you'd think guys would see something like that. When it comes right down to it, their jobs depend on the quality of the stuff they put out.
Some can and do, but it's not an easy thing to see. I spent over 40 years in a shop before I finally decided to call it quit. Believe me, it's not easy to see how your job fits into the total picture.
I wish I knew what the answer was.
What's that you were telling me about the gas station man earlier today? He gets a kick out of doing a good job?
Sure, I like to cook steaks. Does that make me a better cook?
Sure it does.
All right, but not everybody loves his work.
Of course not. But everybody could take a little pride in doing a good job.
Pride in doing a good job. Sure, for my dough, that's the key to craftsmanship.
Doesn't matter whether you're mowing your lawn or designing a rocket to the moon. Seems to me what you were really saying in your letter, though perhaps you didn't put it in quite these words, was
No matter what job a man has, everybody along the line depends on him. And he ought to have pride enough to do it right.
Pride in doing the job right, huh?
That's about what an old-time craftsman would tell you.
It's more than just the key to craftsmanship. It's a key to a guy's job security, to his whole future. It's that big. I'm going to write another letter. I think I know what I'm going to say this time. And who knows? Maybe it'll make somebody in that factory think.
Aren't you going to eat, Ed?
No, I've got to go to the post office first. Want to mail this letter, registered, special delivery.
Letter? Oh, that's a coincidence. I got a letter here you ought to see.
Huh?
Buck down to me. Customer wrote the big brass. He wasn't happy with one of our typewriters. Had some pretty hot things to say about the alignment of our type bars.
Alignment?
Say, that's your job, isn't it, Ed?
So, of course, that has the vibe of purely coincidental, where at the end there's a twist, and but it doesn't end up with a dog dying and a little girl getting very, very sick. Yeah, thanks, Jam Handy. We certainly could show some of these films again and talk about quality of work, and also paying people for that quality of work, and etc. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today. We very much appreciate your eyeballs. I don't know if you noticed, so like behind me is our laser graphics scanner, and I am doing scans of some of those films that we got from New Mexico that were from a religious film library. And so there's some Lulus in here. I mean, I'm just randomly pulling titles, and I'm like, ooh, wow, I had no idea that it's about this. I think a lot of religious films from the 70s, from the late 60s, early 70s, are real good. Real good. Anyhow, thanks for joining us today. I very much appreciate your eyeballs. Try not to read too many headlines today. Spend your time and energy reaching out to friends and family. Maybe getting some one-on-one time. I think that's useful and helpful, because those people in your life, they're the ones that will be there for you when you need them. Anyways, we love you guys, and we will see you tomorrow. Hit the thumbs up, hit the like, donate with the super thanks button, or ko-fi.com/avgeeks, or patreon.com/avgeeks, or just watch one of the hundreds. We have now more than 9,000 films on our YouTube channel. A chunk of those, maybe 1,500, 1,400, are live shows, but there's a lot of content, and we've been uploading 24 films a day. So watch some of that stuff. Thanks, everybody. Love you guys. Bye.